Welcome to iPad Pros, the show all about using your iPad to be productive and get work done. I'm Tim Chen, host of the show.
Tapestry wasn't designed to be the ultimate playing app for your podcasts or your YouTube videos or things like that. It is the notifier. It is the way you can decide, oh, that's something I want to listen to. There's something I want to watch. And if it's a short thing, you can hit it and start listening to that podcast. And then I really want to listen to this. And then send it over to your favorite podcast app. Or if it's a Mastodon post, it's something I really want to reply to and I want to boost it, and then send it over to Ivory or whatever, the official Mastodon app, and so on.
Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of iPad Pros. Joining me today is Ged Maheux from the Iconfactory. In this episode, we're going to dive into Ged's iPad usage for a little bit, into the Iconfactory's latest app, Tapestry, which is out now in the App Store for iPhone and iPad and soon the Mac. If you want to support this podcast, the best thing to do is head over to patreon.com/iPadPros or subscribe to the podcast in Apple Podcasts. By supporting the podcast, you'll get both iPad Pros and Vision Pros early. My great thanks to everyone that supports the show. With that, here's my interview with Ged, all about Tapestry. Enjoy. Welcome back to the podcast, Ged.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. So we're going to dive into Tapestry, your guys' latest new app from the Iconfactory. But before we do that, it's been a bit, so I just wanted to check in on your iPad usage. What are you rocking these days? What hardware?
I have the latest iPad Pro 13-inch, and I've got the new Apple Pencil, and I love it. I was really starting to wonder how long it would take for them to come out with the stupid thing.
Yeah.
It was way overdue, and I just, but then they finally announced it, and I snapped it up as soon as they did, so, and I use it for everything. I love it.
What were you upgrading from? Was it the 2018, or did you do a...
Yeah, it was... the first, no, it wasn't the first, second gen, I think, of the iPad Pro. It was old.
Yeah.
It was,
yeah.
Yeah.
Nice, yeah. And then, as far as your usage, what are you actually using it for these days? What kind of role does the iPad serve for you these days?
Oh, I use it to sketch on primarily with Linnea with our drawing app.
Yeah.
I use it for that all the time. I obviously use it for social media, and I have it in my lap whenever I watch TV every night. Just check stuff on Call Sheet. I don't know if you use that app at all. Great app. Yeah. And keep track of what we're watching and look up trivia and everything like that. And then I use Bear to take notes along with Tot, our little note-taking app, and the normal stuff, email and Discord too. I use it for Discord chat.
Yeah. And do you just use it as a tablet, or did you get the keyboard with it?
No, I don't have a keyboard. I don't find I need it. I don't have a laptop, so whenever I use my iPad, I just use the virtual keyboard, and it serves me fine. Yeah,
this is the first time with the M4 I didn't get the Magic Keyboard, and it's kind of nice having this just as a tablet. It's nice change of pace. Yeah. I got the 11-inch, so I went down in size, which I'm enjoying. Yeah.
My wife has a mini, and she loves it, and I'm jealous of it. Actually, yeah. I really am considering getting one. I really do love how cute it is. It's really adorable, and it's so much lighter and just like, take it with me. I really am considering one. I really do like it.
Yeah, I've always been tempted by the mini, but
the Apple Pencil just fits.
It's like the perfect size. Yeah, right.
Exactly. It's the perfect size on the side. It's great.
Yeah, I've always been tempted by the mini, but I like the Pro features, and I can't right now justify having two.
Yeah,
a main. I say main because I still have the M1 13-inch that I use occasionally for some stuff. So it's like, I really want yet another iPad. Maybe one day I'll buy one for my daughter, and then that'd be a justification to have the small one for the little tyke,
right. Or the fabled 16-inch, whenever that comes, if that's ever coming.
Exactly.
I would buy that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I would definitely leap for a just gigantic iPad, just because that seems like a fun drawing device.
Oh yeah.
Or even just like music notation, having like a full size piano kind of thing.
Right.
Not full size, but much bigger than what they can do on the 13. Yeah. So anything else worth mentioning in iPad land before moving on to Tapestry?
I've been playing some games. I really there's a new Kingdom Rush game that came out like a month ago. I've been really enjoying that on my iPad. I don't play many games. I'm not a huge gamer, but the ones that I do play, I always play on my iPad.
Nice.
I don't play them on my phone. So, but I always love those. Was it Iron? I can't remember the name of the developer that makes it. But they all their games are top notch. I love their stuff.
Nice.
And I'm addicted to the Kingdom Rush series, so it's been great.
Yeah, the only thing on my phone I play that's a game of sorts is the Pokemon trading card game, because it's just like your daily, just check my cards and I don't even battle. It's more just a collectathon thing where I'm not spending money and just like, what cards do I get today? Yeah. So anyways, let's dive into Tapestry. So first off, what is Tapestry?
Tapestry is our attempt to take all of the disparate sources of things that you follow on the internet and combine them into a single, easy to use, easy to read timeline on your device, whether it's your iPhone or your iPad. And it can be RSS feeds, blogs, it can be podcasts, YouTube channels, it can be your Mastodon account, your Blue Sky account, your microblog account. All of these things combine into a single unified chronological timeline that has no algorithm deciding what you see. It's all who you follow, and it's all up to you. And it's been in the works for over a year, and we finally launched it yesterday.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
It's almost topping the top 20. It's what, 24? What
24
is
that? Yeah. I think that's as high as I've seen it get. But yeah, it's pretty cool to see it happen that gets up that far.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll go farther, but that's a big coup for us. So
yeah, for sure. Where did the name come from?
Naming stuff is always hard.
It really is, right?
It really is hard.
Is it searchable? Does it describe what the app is?
Yeah,
all
who
these
owns
things, right?
it, and is it going to be confused with other things? And we came up with all of these different names. We always brainstorm all of our names as a group, and then we put them all in a Basecamp doc and just go through and weed out the ones that we don't like. And then we get to the ones that we do like. Do we have to spell it a different way? Does it need 2 P's, 2 E's? All of these things. And we narrowed it down. But Tapestry was the front runner just because it describes kind of what the app does. It takes these threads from different parts of the internet and weaves them together into the fabric of your social life or your timeline. So it seemed like a natural fit. I like the way that it turned out with the name and the icon, the branding and everything.
Yeah. So the inspiration for the app. So you guys did Twitterrific, obviously, or many people should know that. And then people were asking, are you guys going to do like a Mastodon client or a Blue Sky client or, so where did the inspiration for this approach as to it's not a social media app, but it incorporates it. Like, where did the inspiration for this approach come from?
It's all, the brainchild of our lead developer, Craig Hockenberry, is his idea. Mm-hmm. And he created a proof of concept called Muxer. Awful name, but it's just a working title. Yeah. And to see how valid of a concept it would be, he wanted to take those parts that were open on the web and combine them into something that people could not only read, but interact with as well, but also develop for. And that's one of Tapestry's biggest strengths, is that it has an API and a whole developer mindset. So you can, if you're technical minded or a programmer or you want to tinker, you can go in and create your own connectors to, talk to your smart appliance that may broadcast something onto the web, or maybe you have a device in your garden that monitors your soil pH level, and you want to get at that information easily, and so you can develop a connector to talk to those things and put them right in Tapestry. And he's the one that came up with the idea. We weren't sure about it until we actually created the proof of concept and then had the Kickstarter, of course, and we got funded with the Kickstarter, and that proved to us that people wanted it. So
yeah. Was there ever so with the icon design, was there ever inclination to try to create another cute little character? I know yeah.
Yes. And
yeah.
Actually, if you go into the app, if you're a subscriber and you have access to the alternate app icons, there's a cute little capybara in there. We named him Cosmo. He was a side runner of the app icon for a while. He didn't end up making the final cut, but he's adorable. And yeah, we all love Ollie from Twitterific, and everyone loves Ollie. And so we wanted to have a sort of unofficial mascot in the app, and he was a capybara. Yeah. And everyone's like, capybaras are so hot these days, right? So, but they're just adorable, and we all love them. So I had to make one.
Cool. Yeah. And yeah, the icon, it portrays what it is. All these different feeds coming together, and yeah.
Right. Weaving these different content streams into an orderly, taking the chaos of the web and weaving it into order and something that you can consume.
Yeah. So how are you personally using Tapestry? What kind of feeds do you find most valuable? Are you creating custom timelines with different filters and stuff? Like what are we using it for?
Tapestry has actually gotten me to use Blue Sky. I really am not a huge fan of it, but Tapestry has allowed me to follow certain people on Blue Sky without being subject to all of the, come at me and all of the politics and everything that's happening in the social space. So I'm grateful for that. I do use it. I follow a ton of blogs. I have a lot of Star Trek blogs and sci-fi blogs and things that I follow. I've never been a big RSS guy. I have to admit.
Yeah.
I tried RSS readers for a while, but like most people, you get overloaded and you get completion syndrome. I didn't read that. My feed's too overloaded and everything. But with Tapestry, I've been better about it because the podcasts and the blogs, everything comes in, but you can write muffle rules or special filter rules so that they get minimized in the timeline. You don't have to, they don't take up the entire timeline. You can pass right over them if you want. But if they're about a particular subject or something that you like and you want to learn more, you just tap and it expands and you can read it or listen to it or watch it or whatever. And that, I find that has helped me a lot to consume more of those types of feeds on the internet.
For sure. Yeah. I have yet to create a Blue Sky account, and Tapestry is the perfect way of, I'm not going to interact there, just more of a, let me follow certain things.
You want to lurk.
Exactly.
You want to lurk.
Yeah.
And it's great for that. It's great for lurking. Yep.
Do you find yourself sharing articles out of Tapestry, or is it mostly just consumption?
I do sometimes. We've got to make that easier to do because sometimes I'll see a blog post come along in my timeline and I want to put it right back into my Mastodon timeline. And you can do it. You just hit the share button and then tap your Mastodon client, my choice, that's Ivory, and then it'll push it into the timeline. But it would be great if it was even easier than that. That's a problem that we really need to address and take a look at in the future. I want to make it like dead simple to take one thing from one feed or stream and then push it into another that you really are interested in.
How do you guys take advantage of swiping? You probably already do some with that. I wasn't sure if you could create a custom swipe where you predefine share to this thing with a certain swipe gesture.
Yeah, Tapestry does have swipe gestures in them. They're static at the time. You can't customize them yet. But after the launch, we've got a lot of feedback about that. People have very passionate opinions about what should be on what direction of the swipe and how far you should swipe, all of these things. So we're going to be hopefully looking into being able to customize those swipe actions. Swift UI has been a little bit of a challenge in developing Tapestry. There's a lot of restrictions there that are very hard to get around. Our programmers, Sean Heber and Craig Hockenberry, they like to say that Swift UI makes the easy stuff hard and the hard stuff easy.
Yeah.
So the things that seem like they should be like, oh, that'll take a second to do, they don't. They take many, many hours to do properly. And the things that seem very, very difficult, all the purchasing and the flows and all those, like setting up the setting screens, those take seconds. It's so easy. But those aren't the things that sell apps. Those aren't the sexy parts of the app. So it's all relative.
So Tapestry is all Swift and Swift UI?
Yes.
Swift.
Okay. There's some UI kit, I believe, in the timeline for things that were not possible with Swift. I'm sure I can't speak to the total wonkiness of it, but yes, the majority of it is Swift and Swift UI.
Okay. Something pretty nice is the feed finder. So something that I've noticed on the just modern web is RSS feeds are like hidden away, and the website creators often just don't even want you to find them. But with feed finder in Tapestry, you just add a URL and it'll kind of seek out to see if that website has a feed.
Yeah, really for the most part, it works. There's obviously some places on the web that it still can't find the proper feed and add it, and that is a pain in the butt. One of the big ones that people have been complaining about is Ars Technica. I don't know if you visit that blog or not.
It's been a while.
Yeah. They have elected to not put any of their RSS feeds on their main HTML. They have so many of them that they don't want to embed them into their main URL. And so people keep writing, like, why doesn't this work? I can't put in Ars Technica. Well, if you go to their feeds page and feed that right in Tapestry, you'll be fine. So there's always going to be exceptions to the rule, but we tried to make it as bulletproof as possible.
Is creating this kind of gets into the scraping and like murky stuff, but like, was there a future where you guys would want to develop a way to get websites into Tapestry that don't have RSS feeds in some way?
Good question. That's a total technical one that I don't have the answer to.
Yeah.
It would be great to be able to have the magic happen and have it just suck in whatever you want.
Right.
And, I'm sure that's not possible in every case. And there's always exceptions to the rule and limitations to RSS and JSON and all of that. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then, is email newsletter something at all possible in Tapestry? I didn't even look into that.
I've actually seen a couple people on Mastodon ask about those email newsletters today, and there is a way to do that. They do have RSS feeds that you can tap into and load into Tapestry. I don't subscribe to any of them myself, so I'm not privy to right off the top of my head how to do it, but it is possible that it can be done. And if as long as it's on the open web, if it's an open system, then Tapestry can probably get at it. Okay. It may require a custom connector that someone will have to write, but I think those newsletters you can add them to Tapestry.
Okay. And what's this connector system you guys created?
Yeah, this is really the thing that I think that gives Tapestry the leg up over some of these other apps. Craig came up with a framework and a helper app called Tapestry Loom that will allow developers to create their own connectors to tap into the destination of the data that you want to, and then preview it on your Mac as you develop it in Loom. And then you can export those connectors, and they can be imported by users, and then you can log in or authorize whatever the connector is for, and those sources will appear in Tapestry just like a Mastodon post or a blog post or anything else. And there are people who are now starting to develop connectors for Tapestry, which is really exciting. Someone on our Discord just published a pixel-fed connector, so that's very popular with Mastodon right now, the whole Instagram replacement. And so there's a lot of potential there. We're really excited about that.
if the development community takes off in adopting that, do you expect to add some kind of gallery to Tapestry of discovering these things?
Yes, that's totally on the list to do. And we wanted to be a part of the Kickstarter. We didn't get to a stretch goal for that, but we're confident that we'll be able to do it. And there has to be a place where people can go and browse what kind of connectors and where they connect to and what kind of things that they will display in the app. So when there's enough of them and when we have critical mass, then we want to be able to bring those to the Tapestry webpage or someplace else. There'll be some hub where you can go and look at the connectors, browse them, pick the ones you like, download them, install them, and so on.
And for the moment, you guys have a Discord channel, and is that one of the better places to discover what people are doing with it currently?
It is, yeah. That's the place where everyone's discussing what connectors they're developing, what they're using Tapestry for. We preview the upcoming stuff in the next beta or visual teasers about the app features that are coming. All the people on our Discord get sneak peeks with all that stuff. They were backers for the Kickstarter, and they got all that all through the whole last year while we were developing the app, and now we're continuing it in the Discord.
Nice. And outside of the big ones like RSS, what are some of your favorite connectors that you guys built internally? I know there's stuff from like NASA and some just interesting, just off the normal stuff.
Again, I wasn't a big RSS guy before Tapestry, but this app has opened my eyes to what is possible, and the weather the NOAA satellite feeds are there. There's a great connector that one of the developers in Discord has created for an app called Track It. It's kind of like the Internet Movie Database, and it publishes whenever there's a new episode of a TV show or a movie that comes out. So if there's certain entertainment things that you like to follow, then you can install this connector and you'll be up to date on the latest episode of so-and-so or whatever. And it'll just appear in your Tapestry timeline when it's time. I also sign up for like Wait, Don't Tell Me, the podcast. And whenever that publishes, it's great because it comes in right into my Tapestry timeline, and I can hit play and listen to it or send it off to the podcast app or whatever and listen to it there. It's neat. It's something new, and it opens the door to other possible uses. There's always going to be people who create things with your apps or your creation that you never intended or thought about. And that was that way with Linea when we developed Linea Sketch for the iPad. We had no idea what people would really use it for other than just sketching and doodling. And some people have they've developed like 3D plans to build a chicken coop in Linea and with graph paper and with all the measurements. And I've never in a million years would have known that or predicted that they could even do something like that. But never underestimate people. They will really push the boundaries of what is possible in creative ways.
Yeah. So tell me about the approach of using Kickstarter to create this app.
We are a small company, and we don't have angel funding. And if we're going to work on an app for a year and not make any money off of it until it's launched, that's just not possible. These days, it's just not possible.
Because you also need to know if there's an audience for it, right?
Right, exactly. That's a big, huge financial and time risk to spend that amount of time developing something and then launching it and finding out only then if it's viable and if it's going to make money. You might as well just pack it up right there. And we did Kickstarter for Twitterific for the Mac, and it worked great. And when it came time to do Tapestry, we said, well, we'll do another Kickstarter and see. If it gets funded, great, we'll build the app. If it doesn't, we know we won't have to waste our time working on the app. And so we set goals and actually met them pretty quick. And we got past the goals. We met some of the stretch goals, and we were funded, and it kept us developing for a year, which is amazing. So I can't fault it, really. It's if you can have the audience for it, if you have the interest for your thing, it's a great way to grassroots your project.
For sure. Yeah. Well, any lessons from this Kickstarter? Any things you'd change for future campaigns if there was another app in the future you guys wanted to do?
Yeah, I mean, I really, for us, one of the big problems has been these Apple private relay addresses that people use to sign up with Kickstarter. I totally get it, and I have done it in the past.
Yeah, I do this. I use it all the time, and I think my Kickstarter for things I have done do that, and
Right. There was a problem with those relay addresses, and that's once they're assigned, they don't allow multiple contact backs. I don't know the exact technical reason for it, but you can't, like, all of the emails that we have been sending via Kickstarter to our backers, for all the people who've been using Apple Relay, they never got them. Huh. They just never got those emails. So we just launched yesterday, and people coming out of the woodwork to say, where have you guys been for a year? What have you been doing? I never got an update until now. Mm-hmm. And that's because they had Apple Relay when they signed up, and they never got any backer updates. They never got any emails or updates from us at all. And it's been frustrating. I have to go in and we have to manually change all of their email addresses in our database in order to send them their rewards and their downloads to download the app. And there's hundreds of them.
Because your audience is largely a lot of Apple fans who would use this heavily.
Right, exactly. So yes, if I could change something, I would say you can't use an Apple private relay address when signing up for a future Kickstarter with us, at least. I wish Apple would fix these technical limitations with the service. I hope they will, but it's been rough in that regard.
Yeah, I can imagine. Another smart kind of monetary decision was including sponsorships. Was that a part of the original Kickstarter, or was that something that just developed as the app came towards launch?
No, we when we got the Kickstarter running, we weren't sure if the app was going to be a paid app, a free app, a subscription app, or what in the App Store. We just knew that we had to build it, and we would decide that later on. And as we went along, we decided we wanted to be free to download in the App Store, but it has to pay for itself. So we're making it subscription-based, but we took what we had learned with Twitterrific and the ad network there. We had an ad network in Twitterrific, and we adapted it for Tapestry. It's ads for indie companies that make small apps and or podcasts now, RSS feeds, blogs, anything that Tapestry can consume. It's a great way to sponsor it, because if you had a podcast, you can put an ad in Tapestry and they can just tap it and add it right into their timeline. So it's like a built-in audience for your podcast or your YouTube channel or whatever. And we reached out and found some great sponsors for the launch of Tapestry to sponsor the app's launch. And now that it's launched, we've had a whole bunch of people come and ask if they can be sponsors, which is exciting because it helps to ensure the life of the product, at least for a little while. So.
Yeah. And it's a great model because, as you said, this is stuff that just like you add it to your Tapestry and you're getting content that you would welcome. Like Daring Fireball's in there. It's like, a Daring Fireball. Yeah.
Now you see a Daring Fireball post in your Tapestry timeline or the podcast or whatever. Yeah.
And is it monthly or are there any like lifetime sponsors? Is that a thing, or is it mostly a monthly model?
No, if you want to sponsor it, you can either sponsor for 1 month or in blocks of 3 months.
Okay.
And we're trying to keep the cost of those as low as we can for the indies, because we know we are one ourselves and we can't afford a $5,000 ad, someplace,
Yeah.
So we're trying to keep the cost reasonable and low.
Nice.
At least here at the outstart. So.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. In what ways, if any, did the app shift from its original vision to what it is now at launch? Did anything change over the past year that's like you didn't anticipate when you set up the Kickstarter?
I'm not gonna. It's really hard to overstate how complex the development of this app has been. It has been in every way, shape, and form, from the coding to the design to the planning to the execution. It has been one of the most challenging things we've ever done. And the shape that it is in now, from when it started, is literally completely 180 degrees different. I mean, in concept, it's the same. It's the same, taking multiple sources and putting them into a timeline. But how we got there is completely reimagined, redesigned. I'm one of the lead designers on this app, and I have redesigned this timeline 5 times in the course of its life. And that's because of the limitations of a content source has to come from here and here and here and here. It has all these different places, and none of them are standardized. Just because an author on Mastodon has an avatar doesn't mean that a blog over here has an RSS, a favicon. So how do you treat their graphic representations similarly or unified within the app? That's just one small example, and that's just a visual example. That doesn't even start to talk about the technical examples of it. So how it came to be, how it got to where it is has been massively evolved from where it came from the Kickstarter. And I can't go into all the details. I don't know all of the technical details. All I can speak to is really the design of it. But there's a reason for everything in the app. Everyone's like, why does it do this? Or why does it look like this? Well, how long you got? I can talk to you for days about why it does this, why it looks like this, why it behaves like this. There's reasons behind everything. And they have dictated how Tapestry looks and acts.
Yeah. I'm very curious about podcasts, because I'm a heavy podcast user, of course. Listen to many hours every week. Let's just put it that way. What podcasts? You mentioned Wait, Don't Tell Me, but have you found yourself still using a podcast client, and then some podcasts go to Tapestry? Like, where do you find that division? How have the users been sharing how they prefer podcasts? Like, it seems like short podcasts might work better here for, your 10-minute podcast, or
yes. I mean, Tapestry wasn't designed to be the ultimate playing app for your podcasts or your YouTube videos or things like that. It is the notifier. It is the way you can decide, oh, there's something I want to listen to. There's something I want to watch. And if it's a short thing, you can hit it and start listening to that podcast. And then I really want to listen to this, and then send it over to your favorite podcast app. Or if it's a Mastodon post, it's something I really want to reply to, and I want to boost it, and then send it over to Ivory or whatever, the official Mastodon app, and so on. So Tapestry isn't trying to be the ultimate podcast app like Overcast or something like that. It's not trying to be the ultimate Mastodon app. It's intended to be the place where you can just focus on and decide what you want to consume, and then decide, okay, I'm going to go and do it from here. And it works pretty well for that. There's some limitations that we want to overcome in those areas, but in general, I think it has struck a chord with users.
I have not added podcasts quite yet, but I'm curious, is there a way to play a podcast while also browsing your feed, or is it?
Yes.
Okay, yes. So that's great.
You can hit play on a particular podcast and keep scrolling. You can even change timelines and keep listening to that podcast while you're doing that. So there's a little mini player that pops up on top of the timeline that will play the podcast right in line while you do other things. And then if you decide to stop, you can just dismiss it.
Nice. And for YouTube, I'm curious there too. Is there a way to have like a mini video player, or say you leave?
No.
Okay, no, yeah. It takes over. Yeah, and if YouTube, you leave the app as like background audio, is that possible with YouTube?
YouTube really is. There's a lot of technical limitations there. So when you go to watch a YouTube video, it takes you out of the app and into either the YouTube app or onto the web to watch the video.
Gotcha.
We can't play them in line yet. I would really hope we would like to be able to do that eventually. We'll have to see.
Yeah. No, I know YouTube's complicated, and they got Christian Selig to pull his apps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They all have their own quirks. They all have their own limitations and considerations which is one of the reasons, again, why it's so hard to develop an app like this.
Yeah. On the iPad, in what ways do you prefer using it there versus on your phone?
Yeah, on the iPad, it's great because I can have Tapestry. I can do a split view, and I can have Tapestry on one side and my Mastodon app on the other side. And so when I come across something in my Tapestry that I want, I just hit the open in button and it scoots it right over to Ivory, and I can boost it or reply to it or favorite or whatever, and then go right back to Tapestry. You can even do that with Tapestry itself. You can open a split view and have 2 copies of Tapestry running. If there's a timeline you want to keep track of in one and then another one in another, you can do that. We have not optimized Tapestry yet for the iPad. We didn't get to do that for 1.0. We will, and I want to be able to do that and have quicker access to the different timelines and set it up how you want it to set up, with multiple columns and all of those things that make the iPad so, cool and awesome and powerful.
Yeah, but it at launch supports a multiple window, which is great. So you can have multiple instances up, and that's a really cool use case of just having your destination app also up, so you're not like doing the
iPhone scoot out of it and then back.
I'm trying to find the name for it. It's like such a it feels like a hysterical, like very energetic way of like, let's move over here and do this and go back, and so I'm curious with future updates. One thing I'd love to see is like full keyboard support, being able to navigate the whole app with keyboards and like a key. Like you could set up your own keyboard shortcuts for as you're highlighting an article to open it an X app or whatever. Yeah.
Yes, we definitely want to do that and will be doing that. And when the native Mac OS version comes, it of course will have full keyboard navigation as well. So the work there that we're doing or will do for the iPad will be able to translate to the Mac as well. And it'll be great because Twitterific was awesome to navigate with the keyboard. Yeah. And we want to be able to make Tapestry do the same or even better.
Apple Pencil could be interesting too. You could like use the squeeze gesture to launch like a share or something like that.
I haven't thought about that at all, but that's an intriguing idea.
Yeah.
Do you use your Apple Pencil to navigate on the iPad?
Sometimes I do. It's just like when occasionally. Not all the time, but sometimes it's just a nice change.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't do that. My pencil is always magnetically at the top of my iPad unless I'm drawing. If I'm drawing, it's always in my hand.
Right.
But otherwise it's my fingers.
Yeah. And then I did notice it is not enabled in visionOS, sadly. I'm sure that's a support thing where it's like the iPad version isn't perfect here, so let's not enable it, right?
Yeah, none of us have Vision hardware. We can't test it.
Right, makes sense.
We're not going to release something that we can't even
test.
Look at.
Absolutely,
there's no way. Yeah. We can run the emulated Mac version on our Macs, but we can't test or even look at the version for Vision OS. So we decided to not enable it.
Yeah, makes sense. And then shortcuts. Is there any support there? Is there requests for any creative ideas on how to implement that?
There's no shortcut support yet in Tapestry that I'm aware of. At least maybe Craig built some in that I don't know about. But we're waiting to see from users like what they would use, what they would want shortcuts to do in Tapestry and how it would be used. Once they start to send their feedback, then I'm sure we'll consider it and add it in. It's always that way. You can't anticipate everything, especially at a product launch of 1.0. People will tell you what they want. They have very strong opinions about what they want. And so we let them do that. We've done that with the accessibility community too. They're the ones that have very strong opinions about how the app should work with voiceover and how accessible it should be and all of those things. And we let that guide us.
Yeah.
So.
Makes sense. Yeah. So you mentioned earlier that Tapestry isn't trying to be like the place you play all your podcasts or watch all your videos. As far as social media, is there ever the thought in version 2 that you'd add a simple way to just reply to something?
Yes.
Yeah.
We over the course of the year, we have been making very close notes about what we want from it or what we expect of it ourselves, what would be great for it to be able to do, and being able, some of the things that are obvious that are at the top of that list are being able to view threads or replies from social media posts. We can be able to quickly see what everyone is replying to or referring to in line, and also to then reply to it in Tapestry without having to leave the app. So yes, it is at the top of the list. We all want it very much.
Okay, that's great to hear. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then one of the, I guess, core things about this app are the timelines. You have your just standard timeline, but you can also create different timelines. There's a way for you to just look at today's post, jump back to different markers. Can you dive into the timeline and what you love about how you guys implemented it?
Yeah, it's very Twitterific like in that respect. You can create a timeline for just about anything, and you can add feeds into it, and you can also highlight terms into it. So I saw someone who has gone and taken all of their feeds and put them into a timeline with the keyword like dog. And so only the posts and items that come into their feeds that contain dog stuff show up in this timeline. And it's his timeline or palette cleanser. If he wants to forget the world and everything else, and he just wants to view cute pictures or stories about dogs, he's got a timeline in Tapestry to do that. And that in of itself is totally worth the price of admission. I love that.
That's great.
I want to do that. I want to recreate that timeline in Tapestry and just make that. So there are so many different things you can do that let you play with it and how you consume the content. And we're only at the beginning of that. Really, the possibilities are endless, especially with muffle rules and muting rules to weed out the things you don't want to see, the things you don't want to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Those are just as powerful too.
And is there a limit to how many timelines can be created? I believe it's premium featured to do the custom stuff, right? But is there a limit as to, can you have 100 different ones? Like, what's the cap? No.
I think it's just a technical limitation. It depends on how much memory and how many feeds you follow more than anything else. There's no cap on the number of timelines you can create. How fast or slow the app will be if you do that, I can't say.
Yeah.
But some people follow 5 feeds. Some people follow 500 feeds.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of difference there. It's a lot of optimization that has to go on in order to keep the app being responsive and scrolling smoothly, and how long to keep items around before they're purged from memory, all of that.
Yeah. As far as the social media accounts, is there, I'm sure there's a way. It seems for me, I would probably want the post to only show if there's like a link. So here's all the Mastodon posts that have links in them, so I'm not seeing just like, replies to just random stuff. Is that an option in the filtering? Like only show Mastodon posts with links?
No, you can't. The ability to create, I would call that a custom search.
Yeah.
Or based on conditional elements, that doesn't exist yet. But a lot of people have told us that they want it. They want to be able to create a timeline or a series of feeds that contain only this type of media, or this only have this type of author, or posts that are only X number of minutes or hours old, or something like that. And so that's on the list of things to do. Our list since launch has gotten miles long.
Yes.
It really is. People just like, I have an idea for this. Can we do this and this? Which is great because it means that people are excited about it and they want to use it and they're inspired and they're creative and they want to be a part of that. That's a good sign for any app.
For sure.
And any developer.
Yeah. So tell me about Muffles and Mutes. I know what a mute is, clearly. But muffling, it's not, it's, trumpets muffle. You still have some sound coming out. What's the...
Yeah, muffling. Again, we took that from Twitterific. And Twitterific, back when Twitter was Twitter, you could muffle a specific term, like a spoiler for a TV show. Mm-hmm. And so a tweet would come across your timeline and it wouldn't just be there. You could like full on read it and be spoiled about it. It would condense the tweet down into a single line in the timeline, and it would have a title that you gave it. So if it was a Star Trek spoiler, it would say Star Trek spoiler. And that was it. And if you wanted to read it, you tapped it and it would open, then you could get spoiled on it.
Yeah.
And we took that and adapted that in Tapestry. So now you can create muffles for anything, politics, people, terms, keywords, anything that's in the next update that's coming in 1.0.1, you can look for keywords inside of alt texts on images and media, in the link previews that are attached to posts, all of these things, and you can muffle them and make sure that you're not reading the things that you don't want to read or you don't want to be exposed to. And but they're still there. They're still in the timeline. So if you're quickly scanning the timeline, you can see them.
Yeah.
But you can it's really easy to ignore them. You can skip right over them and just go on with your life.
And then mute just makes it so you don't see it at all.
A mute is just removed from the timeline completely. You never see it at all.
Gotcha.
Yep.
And then this is probably in the to-do list if it's not there already, but an ability to mute posts if like the same link shows up more than once. So say follow Daring Fireball and Mastodon, but I also added his website to directly to Tapestry.
Right.
And they show up at the same time kind of thing.
Yep. And this is when we started Tapestry, we knew this was going to be a problem because people obviously have multiple channels they want to broadcast their thoughts into, and they have a blog and they have a Mastodon and they have a microblog, and so they push out all of the same exact content onto these all these channels. And if you're following them on all these channels, then you see the same thing over and over in the timeline. And it is we couldn't deal with it for 1.0. We knew it was there, and we kept seeing them come across our feed, and like, we're going to have to deal with this. It is a really tough technical problem because those posts are not exactly the same. They come from different sources, so they have different origins. They may have the same quote unquote content, but maybe they don't have the same hashtags.
And even the link could be a different link because of tracking URLs or something.
Right, exactly like that. So how does the app know these two posts seem like the same thing, but they're not exactly the same thing? Do I treat them as the same?
Yeah, do you have a percentage? You like after 50%,
exactly. There has to be a percentage threshold where it's like, okay, these two things are the same. I don't have to show you both of them. Let's only show you one of them. But then we have to decide which one is the one you get shown. What is the preferred source for that thing? Is it the blog? Is it the Mastodon post? What? And then also, too, people may post the same thing, but not at the same time. So if you posted a blog post about this particular thing, and then you wait 2 hours and you post the same thing to Mastodon, how does the app know, okay, well, these things have been separated by 2 hours, but they're really the same thing? So again, do we show them both things or only one? You already scrolled past the first one and now it's 2 hours later. So do you see the second one or not? These are all things that have to be figured out.
So it's a common practice of promoting something a couple times during the day of release.
Right. Or they reblog it the next day. Again, do you not show them that or do you show them that? And it's really, really tricky, but it's something that everybody wants. I think whoever solves that problem first is going to have a lot of customers.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing, and you don't want the app to be littered with preferences, but at the same time, some things may need a couple options of what you want in your
Right.
instance of Tapestry. Yeah.
Right. In the case of Daring Fireball, I myself have stopped following Daring Fireball on Mastodon itself.
Mm-hmm.
I follow his RSS feed, so the blog post comes into Tapestry, but his Mastodon reposting of that thing does not. Until this problem is solved. Once it's solved, then I'll add it back, and it won't be a big deal.
Yeah. And yeah, you'd only encounter the duplicates when John reposts the Daring Fireball thing, which he doesn't do every time, but occasionally.
Right.
So what, if anything, you share about what the team's working on for the next big update?
Yeah, we've been working on it since 2 weeks, pretty much. When we submitted 1.0 for Tapestry to the App Store, I fully expected, and we planned into the schedule, at least 2 weeks to get through a review, because I figured it was going to get rejected multiple times, and we were going to have to make changes to it and all of these things. It did not. We submitted it, and it went right through review. It was crazy. I've never had that happen, especially for a 1.0 product.
Yeah.
That's never happened. Never.
Yeah, most times a subscription implementation will, something like that. Yeah.
And we're dealing with content from across the internet, and there was going to be lots of problems, but there wasn't. And so it got through review, and then we're like, okay, we have 2 weeks before we release. Well, let's start working on the next one. And we started working on 1.0.1, and we've added in better improved navigation for voiceover. We've added content warnings for Mastodon, so that it respects those content warning posts. Craig has done a ton of work on connectors to make the feed finder more bulletproof, to make importing feeds better. There's a bunch of new app icons there. There is a ton of stuff in 1.0.1, and I'm really, if we had the chance, I would have folded all of these things into 1.0 for sure, because there's enough good stuff there that it should have all been there in one, but that just wasn't possible. So there's a whole lot of additional muffling and muting options, like I said, for alt text and in images and behind the scenes. A lot more flexibility there. It's really a good first update.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, something I do remember that I just really liked as a nice touch is you can choose whatever font you want to view Tapestry in, which is really nice. So if you're whatever, you can install custom fonts in your iPad and just let me view Tapestry and this cursive font if you wanted to.
If you're subscribed, that's a premium feature. So if you have purchased Tapestry Premium, you can set the timeline to be in pretty much any font that's installed on your device, which is pretty cool.
And then you mentioned the premium unlock. So Tapestry is completely free to download and use, and it's a great experience. But with the premium lock, what do you get with that?
Yeah, you get obviously removal of ads in the timeline. There won't be any more advertisements there, and there won't be any reminders to subscribe. You also get access to all of the alternative app icons that are available for the home screen on your device. You can change the color of any feed in the timeline. You can select the feed and assign it a color instead of the one that is default for that particular feed. You can change the font. Yeah.
Which is pretty cool, because if you have this one feed, you want to make sure you don't miss anything from it. You can make that bright red or something. Just
right.
What's that guy saying? Yeah.
Right, exactly. By default, all of the blog RSS feeds are purple in Tapestry, and it gets old really quick because they're all purple. But if you want a particular blog to be another color, you can assign it things if you're subscribed. And then there's muffling and muting. You can create and save muffles if you're subscribed. Yep.
As you were mentioning the color option, that made me think, have you gotten the request yet of notification per feed? as a thing. Like
yes.
like toggle on and off. Like if I get notified from this one source, let me know about it.
Yeah, we didn't get to notifications at all in Tapestry for 1.0, which I think is a fine thing. It's good because, again, we want feedback from people and for them to tell us what they want out of notifications in Tapestry. It's not the same as a social media app. I don't consider it to be.
In social media apps, you want your at mentions, but this isn't what that's for. So
No.
it's like, what makes sense? Because you don't want notified every single thing that comes across. That'd be
right,
insanity.
but maybe you do when Wait, Don't Tell Me pops up with a new episode, then you want to get a notification for it.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Or John Syracuse publishes his once or twice a year blog posts. The infrequent publishers is what,
right.
Be interesting.
I could totally see that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, anything we didn't cover that you'd like to before we wrap it up?
I really just want to say thanks to everyone who has helped us and supported us over the last year and been patient while we've been developing this app. We knew it would take a while to get it from concept to the App Store, and it did. To our credit, it didn't take as long as I had thought it was going to take. I thought it was going to take well over a year, but we managed to do it in less than a year. But they still have been awesome supporters, and they've been patient, and we're now starting to send out the physical rewards, the stickers and the pins and all of that from the Kickstarter, and I'm excited to do that and get that into their hands. I was really excited to get it into the App Store and say, go download it. It's there. It's finally available. Go enjoy it. And the feedback from everybody has been phenomenal. They really have loved it and have enthusiasm for it and creating and helping us to share the word about it to their friends. And that's a really good sign. You never know when you're developing an app if people are really going to like it. And I have been doing this for so long, I cannot predict. We have done some apps where I was like, this app's going to be the best thing since sliced bread, and no one likes it. No one has gotten it. And then there's been other apps where you're like, well, this is a week long project, and it takes way off. And you become super popular, and there's no rhyme or reason for it. It's just you cannot predict what people will love or what they will latch onto. And of course, a lot of it depends on when it's released and what are the circumstances around what's happening in the world in our lives at any one moment when an app comes along. And how do I need a distraction from what's going on? And maybe I'll look at this app and spend some time in it and get away from it all and all of these things. So that all plays into it. And it's fascinating. If I was a psychologist, I would totally be studying this stuff. But I just want to mainly say thank you to everybody who's helped us and supported us.
Yeah, timing is everything. Like, cause back in the day, it's like I used Delicious Library like constantly. I was scanning everything. It's like I would have no need for that today.
A little hand scanner. And
beep, beep, beep. It was such a fun thing. It's like because I actually had physical DVDs and stuff back then. And
Totally. I remember that. Yeah.
Oh. And I guess the last thing is, so the Mac is the final platform to be launched for this app. Is that accurate?
Yeah. We're going to be starting on the native Mac app for it. We all want it, and it's going to be great on the desktop when it comes. So it's going to be a ways off, obviously, before it arrives. But in the meantime, there's the emulated version, but that has shown us what the potential of it is on the desktop, and people have been asking for it on the desktop. So I think when it does come, it's going to be great, and people who buy it now will get the Mac version when it comes. So.
Yeah, I could imagine a true battleship kind of like when you look over like 20 different feeds if I've got like a 40-inch monitor or something crazy.
Yeah, widescreen, right?
Exactly. Yeah, the super ultra wide. Yeah, I'm on the Apple Vision Pro, and I got the ultra wide mode set up with Tapestry, fully.
Yep.
Yeah. So, where can people find more information about Tapestry and your guys' other apps?
Tapestry, you can get to it at usetapestry.com. Is it .com or .app? I'm going to say the right thing. Hold on. I don't even know my own URL. Usetapestry.com. Yeah.
Excellent.
And all of our apps are available at apps.iconfactory.com, and we have a bunch of them. We have games, utilities, little creative apps, and we have a bunch of little free apps there too that you can use on your Apple Watch and on your iPhone, stuff like that to check out. So it's always fun to see what we're up to at any given time. Apps.iconfactory.com. And Tapestry is there too.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Ged, for your time learning. It's been great learning more about Tapestry.
Now, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Good to talk to you again.
Well, that's my interview with Ged all about Tapestry. Go out and download and try Tapestry today for free. My thanks again to Ged for his time recording. My thanks to you for your time and attention tuning in. As a reminder, you can support this podcast over at patreon.com/iPadPros or by subscribing in Apple Podcasts. With that, I'll talk with everyone again real soon.